live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
Wyatt Earp has moved to Wichita after a locally renowned career as Marshal of Ellsworth, Kansas. Wichita was the new capital of the cow towns, where the great cattle drives from Texas reached the railroad. Hoodlums boasted there was no law in Wichita. The year 1875 saw Wyatt Earp become Marshal of that turbulent city, fighting frontier gunslingers with his fists, his .45 Colts, and his sawed-off shotgun.
Wichita. There she stands, Wyatt. This is Douglas Avenue, our local Broadway.
It sure makes Ellsworth look like a stage stop.
You're in the big city, Mr. Earp. Texas House, the Wichita Eagle, fine newspaper. Mine. This is Main Street. Palace Saloon. Down there is the Oriental Saloon. Next one is Rowdy Cates' establishment. There's the Wichita House. Way down at the end on the other side of the street's the Occidental. Douglas Avenue House, Payer's Saloon. That next street down is Horse Thief Corner.
Mr. Murdoch! Mr. Murdoch! The vigilantes are aiming at Hank Slick Lonigan. They say he murdered Hank Mahoney last night.
Where's Judge Jewett?
In Kansas City on business. There'll be a lynching if you don't stop them.
They'll be stopped. Where are they?
Over at the jail.
Looks like we better head that way, huh?
Welcome to our fair city. Here comes Marsh now.
Lucky you got here, Marsh.
Hello, Bennett. What's the trouble?
Sheriff Todd won't turn Lonigan over. The fool says he'll make a fight of it.
I'll have a talk with him. Marshal Earp, this is Dave Bennett, the president of our Citizens Committee for Law and Order.
You mean vigilantes. Glad to know you, Mr. Bennett.
So you're the great Wyatt Earp. Gentlemen, this is the new peace officer Marsh hired to replace Wild Bill Hickok.
Well, you can save the handshaking for later. Come along, Wyatt. Sheriff Todd?
Yeah?
Marsh Murdoch. Open up.
Thank the Lord, Marsh. This up?
That's right.
The rest of you stand back. It's providential, Earp. Simply providential. I'm no hand with guns. My job is strictly collecting taxes. I hope you can take over this affair right away. I'll swear him in. That'll make it legal till the judge gets back, huh?
All right, but calm down. You alone here?
Yeah.
What happened to the deputy marshals?
They all skipped. They're afraid of the Citizens Committee.
Slick Lonigan's a Faro dealer at Rowdy Cates. Who's the man he murdered?
Hank Mahoney. I didn't know him.
I do, unless there are two Hank Mahoneys. And the one I know is a killer.
Hank Mahoney wasn't armed. Dave Bennett says.
I'd like to talk to Lonigan. Okay?
Of course. Bring him in here, will you, Sheriff?
All right. Lonigan's your responsibility. You handle the CCs.
Better put this on, Wyatt.
Wait a minute. You didn't tell me there were vigilantes here?
We had to let them organize. Cowhands threatened to tear the town apart.
I don't work with vigilantes, Mr. Murdoch.
Neither do I. And I should have told you that the CCs are a special problem. But I was afraid you'd turn down the job.
Looks like I better do that now.
Now, hold on, Wyatt.
I don't like vigilantes. They shoot and hang a man first and then ask questions. Now, you hired me to enforce the law. Well, lynching a man isn't the law, Mr. Murdoch.
I agree with you. Judge Jewett, Mayor Hope, and I want to force the vigilantes to disband. We're convinced that some of them are mixed up with the crooked gambling and rustling.
That's a good bet.
But we have to have proof, Wyatt. It has to stand up in court.
Will you back me up if I start rousting that crowd out there?
All the way.
Here's Lonigan. What'll I tell the vigilantes?
Tell them Marshal Earp is working on the case.
Thanks.
Rest yourself. A lot of men out there that want to hang you, Mr. Lonergan.
Oh, sure.
I understand you killed Hank Mahoney when he wasn't wearing any guns.
You the Wyatt Earp that ran it over Ben Thompson?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Murdoch, quit stalling and bring him out.
Hold it, Bennett. Just give us a couple of minutes.
That'd be Dave Bennett. Important man.
Was Hank wearing a gun?
2 of them.
Shot him in a fair fight, huh?
He yelled for me to come out in the alley. I came out, gave him both barrels.
Shotgun, huh?
Yeah.
Who took care of Mahoney then?
Well, Sheriff Todd says he helped carry him over to Doc Fabrique's office. Shot in the stomach. What could Doc do?
Well, then you claim that somebody must have taken the guns off the body.
How else could it have happened?
Why was Hank gunning for you?
I work for Rowdy Kate. Maybe she can tell you. If you're going to turn me over to the vigilantes, at least give me a gun.
Mr. Lonergan, what makes you think I'd turn you over to that lynch mob?
Oh, they're not a mob. They're the Citizens Committee for Law and Order. They run this town, Mr. Earp.
They do?
No, they don't run this town. You're the Marshal of Wichita. The prisoner's in your hands.
Thank you, Mr. Murdoch.
Must be this lucky agate Katie gave me. All of a sudden, I draw 2 aces.
We'll take Mr. Lonergan back to his cell and then have a little talk with that committee.
All right, men. Now, this is what we're going to do. We run this town. You understand? And nobody's going to tell us what to do.
Gentlemen, there appears to be some doubt that Mahoney was unarmed when Lonergan shot him.
Well, that's ridiculous. We have 10 witnesses.
Break it up. What? I said break it up. You have no business here. Now, I know what you men call yourselves, but you're just a plain lynch mob to me.
Marsh, you're going to put up with this?
I hired Mr. Earp with the approval of Judge Jewett and Mayor Hope.
Not with my approval.
He doesn't need your approval. Your committee doesn't have any legal standing. Now, if Lonergan is guilty, he'll be punished according to the law. But in the meantime, Mr. Bennett, you and your friends are packing guns in violation of a city ordinance. I realize it hasn't been enforced lately, but that's the reason I'm not going to arrest you at this time.
Why, you...
Don't try it. Now, most of you are decent men. And yet you let a fool like this tell you what to do. Now, I don't think Mr. Lonergan is guilty, and I aim to prove it. But either way, you're not the judge and jury. Now, get moving.
Come on, Dave.
Seeing the last.
Quit that! Go away!
It's Mildred, Miss Kate. It's the marshal, the new marshal.
Earp? What's he want? This hour of the morning.
He says it's about Slick, and he's real nice and gentlemanly, too, Miss Kate.
All right, tell him to come on up.
She says it's all right, Mr. Earp. Right up the stairs.
What an hour to wake anybody up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, do I look awful?
You look real fine, Miss Kate.
Oh, you always say those nice things, Mildred. Open the door. Well,
How do you do, Miss Kate? I'm sorry to bother you so early.
harm's already been done. Is Mr. Lonergan okay?
Well, for the time being, yes.
I hear you put a head on the Thompsons over at Ellsworth.
Well, I put Bill in jail.
Just like that, huh? Hey, Mildred, coffee on the double.
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Mr. Earp, I want to be polite, but I can't afford to get mixed up in this.
Well, maybe you can answer a few questions, like, was Hank Mahoney packing guns last night?
Yes, 2 of them.
Will you testify to that?
If I did that, I'd leave Wichita in a coffin.
You afraid of the vigilantes, huh?
Scared to death. Have a drink, Mr. Earp?
Don't use it.
Some...
No, thanks.
Any vices at all?
Miss Kate, I came here to question you.
Can't talk about it. Not even to help Slick. And I'm real fond of him.
Are you in love with him?
No. He's a good faro dealer. He doesn't cheat the customers and he doesn't cheat the house. That's why he... Slick's been after me to marry him. Good faro dealers are so scarce, I've been considering it. Right there, Mildred. You do drink coffee.
Yes, but not now, thanks. You're going to lose, Mr. Lonergan.
What?
His only defense is for somebody to prove that Hank Mahoney was armed and gunning for him. If you leave things stand the way they are now, the law's going to hang him. Good day, Miss Kate.
Hold on. I know what happened last night and why. But I can't prove it.
Well, why don't you tell me about it? Maybe I can.
Keep me out of it?
Well, I can try to, but that's all I'm going to promise.
Oh, better try. You can get me run out of town or killed.
Who are you afraid of?
The gambling place across the street.
The Palace?
Yes. They tried to hire Slick away from me. He wouldn't leave me, so they hired Mahoney to gun him.
Just because he wouldn't take the job?
No. Slick also talked too much about the men who secretly own that place.
Mr. Bennett, maybe.
Slick killed Mahoney in a fair fight. But somebody took Hank's guns and hit him before Doc Fabrique claimed the body. That's the truth. I can't prove it. I've said all I'm going to say.
Well, you talk at the trial?
No.
Well, thank you. You've helped considerable, Miss Kate. Do you want a bodyguard?
Not now. But you'd be my first choice.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go over and see Doc Fabrique now.
Don't mention my name, please.
Why, is he a friend of Bennett?
Oh, no. Doc hates everybody.
Well, thank you for your hospitality.
Just keep on with that stuff. You'll fall off your horse again. Bust your stitches loose and bleed to death on the road. I've been looking for a good cadaver to send to the St. Louis Medical School. That blather-lipped, snake-eyed, scrim-shank Mahoney fella got himself all messed up with buckshot in the abdomen. You do me a favor and bleed to death. Busy, busy, sit down and wait. Too bad you fell on your head. You might have broken your arm.
Dr. Fabrique, I'm Wyatt Earp, the new city marshal.
I don't care who you are. I told you to sit down and wait. That'll be $1. 35 cents. Get out of here. I want to talk to you.
You better talk to me.
Huh? What's that?
You're the coroner around here, aren't you?
Well, yes.
You collect a fee for every death by violence, don't you?
Young man, if you mean
Where's
to
your
insist...
autopsy and coroner's inquest report on Hank Mahoney?
Autopsy? You sure you haven't got some buttons loose?
Now, look, you're wasting both of our time. I want the report on Hank Mahoney. It just happens to be a murder case, you know.
Autopsy. Hank was killed with buckshot wounds in the abdomen. It was so obvious that only a young idiot like you would ask for an autopsy.
What about the coroner's inquest?
More foolishness. Hank was killed at the hands of Slick Lanigan. I'll have the coroner's report on Hank ready in plenty of time for the trial.
No, Doctor. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Get out of my office! 10 minutes. Autopsy. Next patient!
Hi, Mr. Murdoch.
Well, the town's starting to spin. I hear you fired 3 deputies and swore in 5 new men.
7. They're my friends from buffalo hunting days.
Have you learned anything new?
Yeah. But doesn't fit to print. Did you Get that telegram off to Judge Jewett?
Uh-huh. Got an answer. He'll be back tonight.
Well, that's good. I'm going to ask him for a court order disbanding the vigilantes.
Wonderful. But you'd better have some evidence. The judge hates him, but he still has to follow the letter of the law.
I know. I'm working on it. Well, I'm going to go down and see Doc Fabrique before he leaves his office. I'll see you at dinner.
Fine.
Oh, by the way, I wrote a story for your paper. It says that any honest citizen who knows what happened to Hank Mahoney's guns should come forward and tell.
New lead?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Now listen to what I'm going to read you, Doctor. It is specifically provided by the terms of this ordinance that the city marshal must certify to all fees collected by the coroner.
Let me see that.
Here.
The scoundrels. Those red-eyed pipsqueak politicians. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have taken the job.
It's too bad, Doc. The records show that since Mr. Hickok quit and I took over the job, the city owes you $137 in back fees. Do you want me to certify?
I earned it?
Sure, and you'll get it.
When? When will I get it?
Just as soon as you perform an autopsy on Hank Mahoney.
You're worse than Wild Bill Hickok. He was a smart skunk, but you're a crafty one. Okay. The body's in the back room.
Can I watch?
Suit yourself. And I hope you faint at the sight of it. Crack your stubborn head. Go ahead.
So you don't like your job as sheriff, huh?
You know what I mean. I don't like lynchings. I told you this morning when I wouldn't let you take Lonigan.
Shut up! You're in this just as deep as any of us. Lonigan knows too much, and Earp's been snooping around. We blundered once before in hiring a drunken fool to gun Slick. This time we're going to do our own job, with a rope, right?
I don't know, Dave.
All bets down, gentlemen? 5 of spades. 5 of spades? Oh, yes. No, nobody on 5 of spades. 7 of
Hold the
hearts?
game.
I thought I told you never
Keep
to
your
come in
temper,
my
woman.
place
Keep
again.
your temper. Now, Earp has enough evidence to clear Slick, if he wants to use it. But you know what that nasty fella told me? He says he'll let Lonigan swing if you don't tell him the truth about the vigilantes.
No.
Well, Earp can just let Dave Bennett take Slick. Just sit in the jail office tonight and do nothing. Now, if you like that fella, you blonde-headed nanny goat, you'll be there.
Oh.
All right, gentlemen. I'm taking over for Kate. Make your game.
Marshal Earp, the Citizens Committee's forming up the lumberyard. They'll be here in about 10 minutes.
Okay. All the deputies report?
Yes, sir?
Good. Be sure and tell them to load their shotguns with slugs. We'll make our play out in front.
Yes, sir.
Close the door and don't let anybody in.
Yes, sir.
Did you send Doc Fabrique?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it won't work. I don't care that much about Slick.
You're in love with him.
You're not going to get me in court.
No, I think you know all about Bennett and Sheriff Todd, don't you?
Yes. But if you expect me to go to court and I just can't live.
Doc Fabrique says you will.
Why, that old fool.
Says you're in love with Slick, and he also says that Bennett owns the Palace Saloon. That Sheriff Todd made a deal with you and some others to collect only half your taxes. Is that the truth?
Well, yes.
Well, Bennett and Todd are leaders of the vigilantes. You think it's right for these men to parade around town with guns and lynching ropes?
No.
Don't think you're going to be safe just by not talking. Bennett will turn on you someday and run you right out of town, just like he's trying to run me out.
And why should I be the one to squeal in court?
Because you're honest. Because you're in love with Slick. Because you hate violence and despise hypocrites.
I'm not that good, Mr. Earp. Or that brave.
I'll see you in court in the morning.
Don't count on it.
You better use this door. No sense of you getting hurt. Oh, and You better go straight back to your place.
No palaver. Bring him out.
I told you men this morning you were a lynch mob. Now, do you want me to start shooting, or do you want to listen to some evidence?
What evidence?
Hank Mahoney was wearing guns last night. Lonigan's buckshot tore off part of his gun belt and carried it into his body. Doc Fabrique recovered a hunk of the gun belt along with 245 cartridges in the autopsy.
The doc's a liar, and so are you.
Now, the rest of you men file by, and I'll show you the evidence.
You're right, Marshal Earp. I'm sorry I listened to Dave.
Mr. McCready? The following men are under arrest. Mr. Brown, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Salter, and Mr. Bennett. Give them your guns and put them in jail. You men pick up Mr. Bennett. Now, the rest of you men go on home where you belong. Go on.
He stalled on reading your petition about as long as he can. You sure Kate will come?
Well, if she doesn't, we're sunk.
Marshal Earp,
Yes, Your Honor.
you make the charge here that several members of the Citizens Committee are of bad character and are allied with the hoodlum element.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Have you any testimony to present bearing on this accusation?
Well, no, sir, not at this time. You see,
Let's see the proof. Where's the witnesses?
Order. Shut up, Bennett. Throw him out of court, Judge.
Order. Proceed, Marshal Earp.
I ask the court to realize that it takes time to gather legal proof against illegal vigilantes. I need a temporary court injunction to publicly discredit the...
Marshal, the court has heard enough. You display poor judgment in making slanderous charges against Mr. Bennett and his associates without a single witness.
Mr. Earp has a witness, Your Honor. May I?
Swear in, clerk. Thank you, Miss Kate.
It's a pleasure, Judge.
The court apologizes to Marshal Earp for having doubted his word and wishes to express its gratitude to Miss Kate for having the courage to come here and testify. Oh, can you imagine? It is the order of the court that the Citizens Committee here and now disband. Court is adjourned.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so. I was so nervous I didn't think I'd give you a time. Is this official or personal, Mr. Earp?
I'm your bodyguard.
Oh, Bennett wouldn't dare do anything now. Oh, thanks. I'm quite the little heroine now. Even the good folks gave...
Look out!
Why didn't you shoot him?
No need to. I can trace him through this. It's probably just a decoy to draw me away from you.
Oh, don't draw away from me.
Don't worry, I won't. I want the word to get around that I'm real fond of you. Or gun anybody that does you any harm.
That ought to get the word around. Oh, I like that.
Miss Kate, break it up, you men. Go on, break it up.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous.
courageous and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told. Long may his story be told. Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail, and none can deny it. The legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail. Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
Hold up your hands. Now put them down. Ah. Yes, I think I have the perfect fit, Mr. Earp.
There's a slight wrinkle below the collar. Otherwise, very good.
Oh, the wrinkle is there because Mr. Earp keeps hunching his shoulders.
Stand normal, straight, Wyatt.
It just won't do.
You don't like it?
Well, I can't get it in my guns.
Oh, that's because you have it buttoned. Please, let me show you. There. Now, when gentlemen who wear my coats wish to reach for a gun, they brush the skirts back with a quick motion. So, you won't be bothered. You see, Mr. Earp, I have made you my special model. Quick draw Prince Albert frock coat.
Well, I guess I won't be the first man bothered by a skirt. Tommy, I'll pay for the coat, but I can't wear it.
Oh, now hold your fire a second, Wyatt. I see the trouble. Where's the doeskin patch where the skirt covers his gun grips?
Oh, I always sew the patch in after the final fitting. Now, you see, the doeskin is very slick. Of course, it will be black. It slides over the gun grips inside. Oh, I've never had a complaint about a quick draw special.
Well, baste in the patches and show him.
Oh, yeah, the patches right away. Yeah, quick.
I just don't like it, Mr. Murdoch. I mean, that fancy vest and those city slicker pants.
Now that you've gotten rid of the vigilantes, you've got a reputation. Dress up to it, man. Now let Tommy have the coat, huh? I'm not going to have the Marshal of Wichita dressed like a busted cowhand.
All right. The cowhands are going to think I've gone fancy, and that quick draw coat's just liable to get myself killed. Well, I don't know.
That's fine. Now you look like the Marshal of Wichita.
Like lightning, he draws.
Now with practice, and you'll be just as fast as you were with the old clothes.
But I just may not have an hour to practice. I'll have to wear the coat and back of the guns.
Oh, but Mr. Earp, that will spoil the lines.
I'm going to wear the coat. That's the way it's going to have to be.
Oh, but it looks so dressy the other way.
Tommy, you want me dressed to kill, huh?
Hmm?
Well, cinched in this vest and this actor's frock coat, I may be dressed to be killed. So give me half a chance anyway, will you?
Well, all right. Whatever you say.
That'll take care of you, Earp.
I thought you'd come a-running.
Buff Yancey, is that his name?
That's right.
Never heard of him, Pete. Did you?
No, but boys in his line of work use a lot of names.
Where is he?
He's in his room. I told him to stay there until you could talk to him.
Let's go see him. Where's your gun?
Here in the rack. Why?
I have to know if he's really fast and can shoot as good as you say. You'd better get it. Howdy, Graham.
Hello, Mr. Bennett.
We're making a little visit on one of your guests. No trouble, he's a friend.
Yes, sir.
I don't want Earp to find out about this. Understand?
Yes, sir.
He gave us vigilantes a bad time in court, and we mustn't forget it.
Ain't locked.
Mr. Yancey, this is Mr. Bennett.
All right.
Pete tells me you're quite a gunfighter.
I do all right.
You put a head on Wyatt Earp a couple of times?
Beat him on every draw, if that's what you mean.
Why didn't you kill him?
No reason to. Isn't he something, Dave? Even had the drop on Earp and he never killed him. Just slapped him in the face and took his gun away.
Doesn't make sense.
Nobody was paying him to, he says.
Why all the chatter? You fellas asked me here to talk about that pea shooting marshal of yours. You talked like Wyatt was fast with a gun.
If you made Earp pull in his horns, why wasn't there talk about it?
Wyatt didn't tell.
Why did you wait so long to tell?
Nothing to brag about. Any more stupid questions? Keep your hands away from that.
I wasn't doing nothing, Mr. Yancey. I was just telling Dave.
Take it easy, son. You look pretty fast.
Earp's pretty fast.
But you do it quicker, don't you?
You're boring me.
And $500, would that bore you?
Yeah.
750 bore you?
Yeah. 1,000 mightn't.
When I pay that kind of money, I want to be sure. Earp buffaloed me once. I want to be sure I'm hiring a man who can revenge me. I like to see what I'm buying, Mr. Yancey.
Yeah, Dave ain't hiring nobody to commit suicide.
All right. You stand over there. Go on. Mr. Bennett, you get a word. One gun apiece. Is that a stopwatch?
For $1,000, I want Earp taken care of real good. I'm not sending you against him if you're an easy mark.
You say that real nice.
All set, Dave.
All right. When I say go, go. I don't believe it.
He's too old.
What was his time, Dave?
It's a deal, Yancey.
1,000 in cash on the bed.
Oh, no. 500 now and 500.
1,000 on the bed.
Are you sure you don't want to count it?
If it ain't right, I'll gun you instead of Earp.
Marshal Earp? Is that you, Marshal? I hardly recognized you all dressed up. Say, Dave Bennett's telling it around. There's a fella here in town that says he put a head on you.
Oh? What's his name?
Buff Yancey, Dave says.
Buff Yancey. Well, thank you, sir.
Mr. Marshall Earp. Mr. Marshall Earp.
Well, hi, Henry. How's your father?
He's fine. Gee, thanks for getting us back our horses.
Don't mention
Gosh, you going to a funeral?
it. Well, I hope not.
Well, you sure dress like it. Well, what I came to tell you. Better look at how you go into Dave Bennett's saloon. There's a gunslinger in there, and he's bragging after you.
Is his name Yancey? Buff Yancey?
Don't know his name, just a big mean-looking man.
Well, thank you, Henry. We'll both look out for him, okay?
Okay.
Now, you run along.
Wyatt. There's a fellow looking for you by the name of...
Yeah, I know. Buff Yancey.
Yeah. You know him?
Well, not by that name, no.
Did anybody ever put a head on you in gunplay?
Not that I recall.
I didn't think so. Yancey checked into the Wichita hotel.
You know where he's from?
Registered from Abilene. Clerk says he palled it up in a bar with Pete Gamble. Had a talk in his room with Pete and Dave Bennett.
Dave Bennett and the vigilantes never give up, do they? Well, you better wait here, Mr. Murdoch.
Oh, no. If you get killed, I want the story quick for my paper.
Thanks. I'm looking for a Mr. Buff Yancey.
Right here.
You really Mr. Yancey?
You know me, Earp.
We've never met before, Mr. Yancey.
You're a liar.
Oh, no. I hope you don't mean that, do you?
Give me a chance to get my guns off the rack and I'll show you.
All right. But let's make it legal. I'll wait outside and give you time to buckle on your guns. And you come out and submit to arrest, I'll make you play. Fair enough?
Suits me fine.
He's wearing a tailcoat. First time I ever saw him with one. It's bound to slow him up.
Fast or slow, I'll handle him.
Don't bet on that. Take him fast.
What are you so scared about? Don't try to hide her. Come on, step on, take what you got coming.
I hate to say it, but Mr. Marshall Earp ducked into the alley, Mr. Yancey.
Do me a favor, kid.
Yes, sir.
Tell Earp he can't hide forever, and I aim to gun him on sight.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you go after him?
Get shot in the back? He's a marshal. Let him come after me. He'll have to do that or be laughed out of town.
I still think you should have gunned him.
Sure, that's what Dave Bennett figured. What Dave figures, I try not to do. You know, this Yancey just doesn't make sense.
He ran a bluff on you in front of a lot of people.
Sure, but why?
You can't afford to let that stick, Wyatt. Stay marshal.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to let it stick for a while, Mr. Murdoch.
Why? They'll think you're afraid of Yancey.
Come on, use your head.
Use my head. It's as simple as ABC. How can you control the hoodlums if you let Yancey get away with his bluff? You just can't wear that badge and duck this issue. Every drunken cowhand in Wichita will start gunning for you, don't you see?
Mr. Murdoch, you sure don't know much about gunslingers.
Oh, sure. Yancey doesn't make sense. I suppose you do?
Well, maybe not. Not yet. But I sent my deputy, Davis, down to see if he could recognize Yancey. I sure couldn't.
What'll that get you?
Well, a real gunslinger wouldn't let me get more than 3 steps into that saloon. Yancey checked his guns. And he gave me a chance to invite him outside. He also gave me a chance to duck out of the fight. And top guns just don't operate that way, Mr. Murdoch.
You think Bennett only hired him to run a bluff?
No. Bennett wants me killed for breaking up his vigilantes, and he also knows that I know he's a crook.
But Yancey is a liar and a fake. That it?
Well, he's a liar because I never saw him before. But I'm going to have to find out whether he's a fake. How'd you like to be a mighty big help, Mr. Murdoch, by trying to get a line on Yancey?
Anything, Wyatt. But you've got to work fast.
Marshal Earp! Marshal Earp! He says you can't hide forever. He says he'll gun you on sight.
Thanks, Henry. Now, you push along. I don't want you getting yourself hurt.
Gosh, you sure ain't scared of him, are you?
Sure, I'm scared. I'm awful scared. Now, you go tell him I said that.
Well, I'll tell him.
It'll take hours, maybe days to get a line on him. Why don't you just go shoot him and have it over with?
Is that what you brought me to Wichita for?
But he's a killer. He's hired out to Bennett. He just wound him, buffalo him, do something.
Well, I like Yancey.
What?
There's always a big reason why a man brags that much.
Oh?
There's something that goes on in a man's eyes when he challenges you to a gunfight. I don't know exactly what it is, Mr. Murdoch, but you catch a glimmer of what he really is. For him, it might be the last few seconds of truth.
All right. You like Yancey. Why?
Well, he just doesn't have that real killer look. Oh, he acted tough and talked tough, but his eyes told me he was driving himself to the job. If it ever came to a real showdown, I just couldn't wound him. He'd want to go all the way. I'd have to kill him. That isn't a good marshal's job.
All right, Wyatt. I'll get right to work on it.
Thanks. I'm going to go down and check out the rest of my deputies. Maybe one of them has heard of Yancey.
Is that right? Thanks, Gus. We sure got Earp hunting for a hole, Yancey.
Yes, sir.
He hid out in Murdoch's office, then hightailed it over to jail, probably begging his deputies to protect him.
Big favor to ask, Mr. Murdoch, for Mr. Earp. Thought I'd better not send us through the wire down to the station. Would you send a telegram for us?
Sure. What are you doing? Going outside of Wichita for information?
This time we are, sir.
Put this on the wire, will you? You hear that? I told you what would happen.
Yeah, I know. You told me. Hear any news from Arkansas?
Never heard of Buff Yancey. No record. Nothing in the newspaper files.
All right, I guess the time's run out.
But there was a family in Arkansas, as Davis remembered. Had a boy named Calvin Turner, called Bud. Deserter from the war. Family no good and this boy no better.
I'd like to know more about these people, Davis. Did they work steady? Were they pleasant to people? They send their kids to school? What do you remember?
Well, there's not much I can remember. The old man was grouchy and kicked the kids around.
This Bud, was he handy with guns?
Must have learned something about him in the Army. Otherwise, he was shy and timid. Went off to war young.
That probably made him more timid. Mr. Davis? You know where Mr. Yancey's guns are?
In his room. He don't trust public racks.
Can you get a pass key to that room?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. What's the hole?
Earp isn't coming after you.
Never expected him to.
Well, I think it's about time you went after him.
Sure. Might as well get it over with. I'll kick in that jail door.
Good evening, Mr. Yancey.
You do have a little nerve.
Where are your guns?
In my room.
Good. We'll settle it there. Alone. Take your time, Mr. Yancey. I'm in no hurry. You better be. You better check your guns, Mr. Yancey. Anytime. You're a brave man, Mr. Turner. Don't be foolhardy.
I'm going all the way. Dead cartridges. What to me? What's coming to me?
Your real name, Bud Turner? Galena, Arkansas? What happened to you during the war?
I was afraid. I ran away.
Well, everybody's afraid at one time or another, but it's only common sense to be afraid. They punish you for running away?
No. The living ones didn't notice. Only my dead friends saw me.
You think they accuse you?
I don't know. But sooner or later, a man accuses himself. So I hit the trail. I bought me guns. I wandered around trying to be brave enough to face a fight. Found out it was the only way to exist.
You faced it.
With dead cartridges and a slow draw. I came to Wichita because I heard you were the best.
That was brave, Mr. Turner.
I did draw against the drop.
And that was stupid.
Sure was. Why'd you shoot?
Well, I'd have been a murderer if I had. See, I got a key to your room, and I came in and put dummy cartridges in your guns. Now, just one more thing. Did you take money from Mr. Bennett?
Yeah. $1,000. Stuffed it under the rug.
You had quite a little personal problem, didn't you? All right. You proved to yourself you have a lot of courage, haven't you?
I tried to.
You know, I had a cousin once. Devil of a fear lived inside of him for years, until one day he had to face it. Like you did. You're no coward, Mr. Turner. You proved you had a lot of courage. Now give yourself a little extra proof. Return this to Mr. Bennett.
Yes, sir.
They've been up there an awful long time.
I haven't heard any shots. I think I'll go check. Did you get him?
No.
Yancey, what's the matter with you? Yancey!
Don't anybody mess with Wyatt Earp. He was faster than me. And he'll handle any 10 of you.
All right, the fun's over. Throw your guns in the road. You men get off that horse.
I'm glad to see you, Mr. McCready. Pick up their guns and start in the jail. Help this man. Where you heading, Mr. Turner?
Arkansas, I reckon.
Well, Helena's a good town. I hope you settle there.
Yes, sir, Mr. Earp. I can handle things from now on.
What happened?
Nothing much. You know that
Taylor did an awful nice job on this coat.
Yeah, but that killer, Yancey.
Well, like I told you, there's always a big reason why a man brags that much. Right nice fellow once I got to know him. He took off for Arkansas.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told. Long may his story be told. Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
Wyatt Earp, in his first few months as Marshal of Wichita, Kansas, had done many things, and now he was faced with the recurring problem of the crooked gambling houses and their untiring effort to separate the cowboy from his money.
Reloading cartridges?
Mm-hmm.
City gives you all the factory loads you ask for.
They don't have this new type bullet.
Made of copper?
Copper jacketed.
What's the idea, Marshal?
Well, they're a lot more accurate than the lead kind. They don't smash a man up so bad.
That's the whole idea of a 45. Smash a man up and drop him in his tracks, ain't it?
Well, it's not my idea. All I want to do is discourage him from shooting. And these will do it.
Mr. Marshall Earp,
Yes'm?
is it true what they say, that you're a darn Yankee?
Well, who says that?
Mr. Billy Joe Mahundra told me. Billy Joe's in bad trouble. I don't suppose you'd help a Southern boy. Are you poking fun at me?
Mr. Leggett, would you please go check the jail?
Yes, Marshal.
I'd help a Southern boy just as soon as I'd help anybody else, man. Please sit down.
Thank you.
Now, what's your problem?
My name is Miss Melinda Carey, and I work at the Palace on Main Street.
Dave Bennett's saloon, huh? What do you do there?
The boys like me, and when they gamble, they give me part of their winnings for my hope chest.
In other words, you're a shill, huh?
I am not. I'm a hostess. What I want to talk to you about.
Well, let's not discuss it here. We'll go over to my office. Well, let me get this straight. You say that Billy Joe sold $8,500 worth of cattle, and then he lost all of that gambling at the Palace. Is that right?
In a crooked game.
And most of that money didn't belong to Billy Joe?
No, sir. Most to his family. Now Billy Joe says he can't go home in such a disgrace. He says he's going to shoot Mr. Dave Bennett for cheating him and then shoot himself.
And you wouldn't want that, would you?
I don't care if he does shoot Mr. Dave Bennett, but us folks take suicide very serious. It's dishonorable. And I am fond of Billy Joe, Mr. Earp.
Well, wasn't it you that shilled Billy Joe into that crooked game?
No, sir. I warned him against it. I don't shield Southern boys.
Just darn Yankees, huh?
Well,
I guess I better talk to him. I'm acquainted with it, Mr. Bennett. And if he's running a crooked gambling place, I guess I should know about it. Now, where can I find Billy Joe?
he's got a room at the Texas Hotel. You better hurry before he...
Now, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Come on.
Who is it?
Wyatt Earp.
You Mr. Billy Joe Omahandra?
Yes, sir.
Miss Melinda tells me you had a little money trouble down at the Palace Saloon, and she doesn't think you ought to gun Mr. Bennett.
Well, why would you care?
Because you might botch up the job and get yourself all hurt.
Just one less Southerner. You'd be mighty pleased.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Omahandra, you're just about the age of my younger brother Morgan. I don't care whether you're from the north, east, west, or south. But I do care about crooked gamblers cheating young fellas like you out of your money. And I'm not a friend of Mr. Bennett's.
Oh?
Oh, he tried to run me out of town. I had to crack him over the head a couple times.
Good yank. I'm sorry, Mr. Earp. That's mine. I had me some new models like yours, but when Bennett cleaned me out, You don't care. You just came here to make small of me.
Now, look, I don't want to have to fight the Civil War all over again just for you. Now, do you want your money back or don't you?
Yes, sir, I want it back.
All right. Now, you think there might be some Southern gentlemen in the bar downstairs?
I reckon. Yes, sir.
Let's go have a talk with them.
Thank you, Joe. Well, here's our share, Mr. Earp. $960.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for the loan. I'll just mark this money, and then Mr. Omahandra and I will push along over to the Palace Saloon and prove that Mr. Bennett was cheating.
Just one thing worries me, Earp.
I can guess what it is. I'm a Yankee, huh? Will any of you remember who threatened to resign from the United States Army when the carpetbaggers wanted to try Lee and Davis for treason?
Well, Grant and Sherman.
That's right. So, let's have peace, you all.
All right, let's play some cards and hope for the best.
10 on the odd, 5 on 13, and 5 on the red.
All bets down. Let her go. $22 black, even. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bennett.
It's an old trick. This brake stops the wheel. It's hooked up to a push button on the floor.
What's the trouble, Earp?
You. You want to explain this here or in your office?
Explain? Are you suggesting
I'm not
that I
suggesting. I'm telling. Leave it alone. Put it on the table. I want your cash box.
Give it to him. In my office, if you don't mind.
All right. $960, all marked money. All right, Mr. Bennett, I want $8,500 more.
You and the kid frame.
Now get the money. Excuse me. Billy Joe, here's your $8,500. Gentlemen, here's the $960 you contributed.
Thank you, sir.
I sure do thank you kindly, Mr. Earp.
May we apologize for saying you favor Yankees?
Thank you, sir. You run back to the hotel. I'll join you in a little while.
Yes, sir, but I...
Go on.
If you need any help?
Well, I think Mr. Bennett's had enough trouble.
I still say you framed me.
Well, don't say it again. I'm giving you a break, Bennett. If I hear any more complaints from this place, I'm going to close it and you're going to leave town. Gentlemen?
Who tipped Earp off? One of the shill girls?
None of them would do that.
Let me see who was shilling the kid. Give me the chip box. What was the name of the southern girl?
Melinda.
The yellow chips belonged to Melinda, and Billy Joe was playing with yellow chips. I'll check on Melinda.
Come in. Hi, mister.
Hi. Heading for home, huh?
Yes. But well, what if Bennett finds out Miss Melinda talked to you?
Well, he won't if you just leave town and don't see her again.
Yes, I know. But it wouldn't be gentlemanly.
Sit down, Mr. Omohundro. Won't you do me a favor? To begin with, are you in love with Miss Melinda?
No, sir. Well, that is, I haven't declared any serious intentions. I'd have to ask my folks.
Do you think your family's going to like the idea of you marrying a girl that works in the saloon and the gambling hall?
No, sir. Don't reckon they would. But I've got to do the right thing, Mr. Earp. I can't hardly just ride out of town if Miss Melinda's in trouble on account of me, now can I?
For her sake, it might be the smartest move to make.
But what would she think of me? My leaving town without even saying bye.
Well, now, why don't you just write her a little note and leave it in the office downstairs, and I'll see that she gets it.
Well, if you think that's the best way to keep her out of trouble.
I do. Hope you have a good ride. And by the way, if you're going to be packing a gun, you better get yourself a new model Colt. The thing's liable to blow up in your hand.
Who is it?
Billy Joe, ma'am.
You shouldn't. It's compromising.
I know, Miss Melinda. But I just couldn't leave town without thanking you personally.
Well, you are very sweet. I was just reading your note. Mr. Earp gave it to me not 10 minutes ago.
Yes, ma'am. I broke a promise. Sure hope you won't tell Mr. Earp I came here.
Of course not. He doesn't understand us folks from the South.
I bought me some new guns, Colt 45s. If you feel you're in any danger, I'll...
Danger? You talk like Mr. Earp. Under no circumstances should you admit to Dave Bennett that you tipped me off. Oh, dear. You men, guns and danger and solemn faces.
How come you're so brave?
Fiddlesticks. Mr. Dave Bennett is a Yankee crook and a coward. Would any Southern man let Mr. Earp pull his roulette table to pieces and call him a cheat in public? I declare, honey, you do try a girl's patience. Talking of gunfighting and doing away with yourself and... Look what you've done.
Miss Melinda, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?
No matter what your mama thinks about it?
No matter what anybody thinks.
Well, you are awful sweet, Billy Joe. Still in all, I'm not rushing into an important thing like this.
Yes, you are. I'm riding straight home and tell the family.
Please, Billy Joe. I'll be waiting.
5 days it'll take. That's all.
5 days. Who is it?
Dave Bennett.
Go away.
It wouldn't sound good if I had to kick this door in.
I'll let you in. Now say what you have to say and get out.
You're fired.
All right.
And don't think you're going to marry this Southern boy. I'll pin a label on you, and it'll cost you a husband.
If you dare to tell him...
You can pack your clothes and move on to Dodge. You're through in Wichita.
I've been hunting a good cadaver to send to the medical school for weeks and weeks, so what do you keep bringing me? Cases like this?
Not serious, huh?
Not a chance he'll make a die of it.
Wyatt. The old quack will let me bleed to death if you don't watch him. Oh!
Quack am I?
Hey, take it easy, Doc.
Chin-horn, cold-decking gambler like him, and he's talking about quacks. Hey.
I think he fainted.
Good. Keep his mouth shut. Helps relax the deltoid muscles. Hey, the dang bullet went all the way through and lodged against the left clavicle. You'll have to turn him over on his back. Easy now. No. It bounced off the clavicle and is lodged right under the skin. You see the lump?
You gonna take it out?
I don't know. I ought to leave it in and let the ornery cuss suffer a lot of pain, but I'm a doctor. I never saw one like this. Copper jacketed, ain't it?
Copper jacketed. Let me see that.
Gold collared.
You awake? Why don't you faint again?
Wyatt's got a belt full of bullets just like that. Go on, explain it, Earp.
Sure, Bennett, I gunned you.
In the back? Oh, you're kidding.
Very funny. By the time Earp gets through covering his tracks, this town will be full of copper jackets.
No, I don't think so. I've got the only ones like these.
Leave it here. Dave's been trying to get something on you for weeks. I'll plant this thing so deep in his gizzard that I
No,
can...
Doc. But thanks for the offer. Now give me the bullet. You gonna accuse me of gunning you?
Just as soon as I can get to the courtroom.
And now, Marshal Earp. Yes, sir. There's just one point in this affair which we don't seem to have covered. Where were you at about 2 a.m. the night of the shooting?
Well, I was just turning into the alley, making my regular rounds.
And how far were you from the rear of Mr. Bennett's establishment when this shot was fired?
About 40 yards, I'd say.
You didn't see the shot fired or who fired it?
I heard the shot, sir, but I didn't see who fired it. There wasn't anybody in the alley at the time except Mr. Bennett. I saw him stagger and fall, and I ran over to him.
Oh, one moment. Did Mr. Bennett say anything that would lead you to believe he knew who his assailant was?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Bennett has made a grave charge against you, Marshal Earp. The evidence is entirely circumstantial, but the court has no choice but to relieve you of your duties pending a full inquiry. Court is adjourned.
You didn't gun Bennett. The judge knows it. The whole town knows it.
Sure. It looks like the proof is up to me. Well, I'm gonna go up this street. Put that on. You're acting marshal.
I'll leave it on your desk. Wyatt. It was those Johnny Rebs, wasn't it?
Just one of them.
Do you know his name?
Not so sure it was a he.
Why, it's Mr. Earp.
Leaving town?
No. Just want to have a little talk with Miss Melinda. A private talk.
Tell him you're not talking.
You've got no star. You're just a plain citizen now.
I said in private.
Let's not lose our temper, Mr. Marshal. Wait on the platform, boys.
No. You get far away from me and stay away. Where you heading, Miss Melinda?
Dodge City.
Mr. Bennett ordered you out of town, huh?
You really are mixed up. I decided it wouldn't be healthy here. Nick and Pat came along to guard me in case Mr. Bennett acted difficult about my leaving. Any more personal questions?
Just two. Was it you that gunned Mr. Bennett or Billy Joe?
Oh, what impertinence! I declare.
Because if it was Billy Joe, I've got to go after him. It's going to be a long ride, and I'm not going to be in a good humor when I get there.
You don't scare me.
All right. I know what the truth is now.
But you can't prove it.
Melinda, honey. Mr. Earp.
I thought you left town hours ago.
Yes, sir. But I heard on the trail that you were in trouble because of Mr. Bennett.
Tell him the truth. Mr. Omohundro, I think she's the one that gunned Mr. Bennett.
That's ridiculous. I did it. I'm the one you want.
I don't want either one of you.
Mr. Earp, why are you sore, sir? I can clear your good name. I'll confess and they'll put you back in office.
You go tell the judge that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I will.
Did you really shoot Mr. Dave Bennett, Billy Joe? Well, I'm right proud of you. Why on earth would the marshal think it was me?
Mr. Earp is a Yankee with no respect for a woman's honor.
Don't confess it, Billy Joe. He's not worth it. Get on your horse and ride away.
No, honey. Us folks pays our debts of money or gratitude.
You are awful sweet, Billy Joe.
Judge, Your Honor, Squire, Sire, I was so plumb provoked at that fella, Judge. Well, I reckon I just lost my head. One point, though, I did ask Mr. Bennett to turn around and shoot it out fair and square, but he kept on running and I shot him.
I see. Mr. Leggett, did you send for Marshal Earp?
Yes, Your Honor. About 15 minutes ago. He should be here any second.
Mr. Omohundro.
Yes, sir?
How old are you?
21 years, 3 months, and 8 days, sir.
Assault with a deadly weapon and intent to kill. Of course, you did own up to it, and, Oh, Marshal Earp. This young man has made a full confession. That clears you, and the court here and now removes you from suspension.
There's your badge, Marshal.
Well, I'm sorry, Judge, but I don't think Billy Joe did it.
How's that?
No, sir. I think he's lying to protect a girl.
Mr. Earp, I must ask you to be a gentleman and
You can't come in here,
I
ma'am.
can, too, come in here. I'm not scared of Yankee judges and marshals. You take your hands off me.
Neither go, Sam.
I thank you kindly, Mr. Marshal Earp.
Melinda, what on earth
Hush
are you...
up, Billy Joe. You the judge?
Yes.
I did it. This is the weapon I used, and I'm not letting this sweet boy suffer for something I did. It's still got the empty shell and 2 of Mr. Earp's gold-colored bullets. I stole them from this desk yesterday because I didn't have any. A lady can't properly buy cartridges.
Melinda, please.
Order.
Don't...
These belong to you?
Yep.
I'm coming back to Wichita and marry Melinda.
You mean after she's free?
While down south, a judge wouldn't even sentence her.
Well, I don't think our judge is going to be too tough on her.
Why not?
Well, because it just so happens that Judge Jewett's wife is from Charleston, South Carolina.
No fooling? Please, sir, tell Mrs. Jewett that I forgive her for marrying a Yankee. That's the proof of it. The good Lord, he loves the South. So long, Mr. Earp.
So long, Billy Joe.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told. Long may his story be told. Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
In the year 1875, bank robbery was the most profitable of crimes, and it attracted the elite among Western criminals. They ranked themselves with Quantrell, the James boys, and the Youngers. A few of them were just as shrewd and deadly as Cole Younger or Jesse James.
Bonnie says the leg don't feel so good. Want me to ride into Wichita and get you a doctor?
No, sit down.
All right.
I'm not trailing with you any longer. Bonnie and I are going into Wichita alone.
Okay, Clem, if that's the way you want it. But aren't you taking a big risk?
That any concern of yours?
Yes, it is, in a way.
What way?
You're the last of the Parkers, Clem. I was hoping that after your leg got well, that you'd let me and the boys throw in with you. With you to do the brain work, we could take a bank every week. And those banks in Kansas haven't had a real rousting since...
You're a fool. I wouldn't have you or any one of your mob on a bank job.
Now, look here, Clem.
Shut up. Bonnie, give him a couple of $100 for services rendered.
That's too much, Clem.
Do as I tell you. I don't want to see you or any one of your mob in Wichita. Head south and go back to robbing stages. I'm clean in this state. You're not. Now ride out of here and keep riding.
All right, Clem. If you say so.
Give him the money, Bonnie. That's the end of it. Goodbye.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there you are.
Pete said you wanted to see me in a hurry.
You call a half hour in a hurry? You coming down with cholera morgus? You're just getting conceited and lazy.
20 minutes is not a half hour.
Huh?
Anyway, what's the big rush?
You see the picture in the Kansas City Star?
Clem Parker.
That's right, he's a patient of mine. He was brought to me by his lady friend. Mr. and Mrs. Tom Whiting, they call themselves now, dressed up like city folks.
Clem Parker here in town?
I never let on that I recognized him. He had a right pretty woman with him, though. Her flesh was well and neatly laid on her bones, and...
All right, all right. Now, why would Parker come here to see you?
Gunshot wound his left leg. Silly jackass who pulled the bullet out and missed all the bone splinters.
I wonder what he wanted in Wichita.
Huh? He's a bank robber. And we got 2 banks. I'd better go and draw my money out.
Will you wait a minute?
Huh?
Now, where'd he say he was staying?
Wichita Hotel. And I gave him strict orders to go to bed and stay there.
Thanks, Doc. You might have done me a real favor.
What? Favor? Wyatt Earp, I want every penny of that reward.
Well, there's no reward. Parker isn't wanted in this state. Your reward is the tender feeling of the good doctor, the sublime knowledge that you can heal a suffering fellow man. You're not fooling anybody, Doc. The only scalp money you ever took was a fee for curing dandruff.
Dandruff?
That's right. Parker. Using the name of Whiting now, huh?
Yes, but you better be careful, son. He might have a gang just outside of town.
That's my hunch, too. Thanks, Doc.
Excuse me, sir. Are you Marshal Wyatt Earp?
That's right, ma'am.
I'm Mrs. Whiting, Mrs. Tom Whiting.
Doc Fabrique described you pretty well.
Oh, he told you about my husband's accident?
Well, it's just routine, ma'am. He asked to report on all gunshot wounds.
I see.
I hate to disturb your husband, but I kind of got to ask him a couple of questions.
Well, he's asleep right now. Couldn't I answer the questions?
Well, I'm afraid not, ma'am. Well, it's nothing that important. I'll just drop back a little later.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have to make 2 trips. I'll go up with you if that's all right.
Certainly.
It's me, dear. Are you awake? Tom,
Yeah, I'm awake.
Marshal Earp is with me. He just wants to ask you a few questions, Tom.
Okay. Hiya, Marshal.
I'm just fine, Mr. Parker.
Clem!
You're mighty fast with that, mister.
Sit down, Mrs. Parker. I'd like to talk to both of you, and I'd like to make it real friendly.
Friendly?
Well, you're not wanted in this town, Mr. Parker. Dr. Fabrique tells me you need a rest.
You mean you won't bother us?
There's just one question. Any of your crowd hanging around Wichita?
No.
That's the truth, Mr. Earp.
All right. You stay here as long as you need to. I hope your leg doesn't give you too much trouble. It's got a good doctor.
Wait a minute. You're a new kind of John Law. Or didn't you know I was wanted in Missouri?
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Parker, this is Wichita, Kansas, and I got just about all the trouble I can handle right here.
There's reward money.
Well, just to make you rest easy, I'm not interested in the scalp money. If the sheriff of Missouri or the United States Marshal shows up with a warrant, I have to help him make the arrest, but otherwise, rest easy.
That's mighty decent of you, Mr. Earp.
Not at all. You play things square with me, and we'll get along fine.
Mr. Earp! Mr. Earp!
Yeah?
I'm from the Union Bank. Mr. Kenton sent me over. There's a suspicious character hanging around.
I'll be right over.
Yes, Mr. Earp.
Excuse me.
Top Anders?
There's only one sure way to find out.
I'll go right over there. Oh, that slimy doormat thief. Just when we had things fixed real decent with Mr. Earp. Now he thinks we lied to him. I better take a gun.
No. Just make sure it's tarp.
I can get him drawn from a handbag.
Now, don't lose your temper. There's easier ways to skin that cat.
Well, you better keep this bandage wet. I'll be right back.
You a stranger in town?
Yeah. Any crime in that?
Oh, might be. Bank doesn't like strangers hanging around.
Okay, Marshal, I'm moving.
Wait a minute. What's your name?
John Smith.
Got anything on you to prove it?
No. Don't believe I have.
You look a little bit like Top Anders. You ever know him?
No. No. Don't believe I have. You?
No. I saw his picture once on a wanted poster. Where's your horse, mister?
Over there. You want to meet him, too?
Yeah. Buckshot dusted, huh? Take off the saddle roll, Mr. Smith.
Take it off yourself.
I told you to take off the saddle roll. Now put it on the ground and open it up. Give me that. The map of Wichita.
That don't prove anything.
What do you need a map like that for? You afraid you get lost?
Yeah.
Well, you haven't done anything I can hold you for, Mr. Smith. You seen Clem Parker lately?
Clem? I don't know any Clem Parker. I know a Clint Barker.
You surprised me.
Why?
I didn't think Parker'd let a stupid fool like you case a bank. Tell you what I'm going to do, Mr. Smith. I'm going to give a description of you to all my deputies. Next time you're seen around town, you're going to get hurt. And by next time, I mean any time after 5 minutes from now.
I was hoping Earp would take him from seeing him on the poster, but he didn't. The marshal just ordered him out of town. I think we ought to turn Anders and his crowd in.
Show Earp their camp?
Sure.
No, that's going too easy on Tarp. I ordered him to stay out of Wichita, remember? Now I think we'll encourage Tarp to go against that bank.
Then tell Earp?
He'll blast him into little pieces.
Yes, but will the marshal believe us?
He'll be a fool if he doesn't. When Tarp hits a bank, he shoots at everybody in sight.
But what if Earp won't believe us? He's been decent to us, Clem. I don't want him hurt.
Who you for, Earp or me?
Oh, don't talk foolish,
Well, I ain't able
Clem.
to stand on 2 good feet and give Tarp what's coming to him. Earp and his deputies can do it for me. You make Earp believe us. That's your job.
All right, Clem.
But if he doesn't and gets himself killed, who's to blame? Either way, Tarp Anders will ride into a lot of bullets from somebody. This is my last job, Bonnie.
What?
Yep. My last job. When I get well, we'll get married and settle down. But we can't have Tarp cashing in on my name, calling himself in those cheap hoodlums of Parker's. Now you see why Earp has to wind him up for us, don't you?
My deputy said you wanted to see me.
Out here, please. Not inside. I don't like jails.
All right. What's on your mind?
I followed you. Saw that man in front of the Union Bank.
Oh? I don't suppose you could recognize him.
Yes, he's Tarp Anders. He tags along after Clem. We thought we got rid of him, Mr. Earp.
You're not friendly with him now, huh?
Never were. He's a cheap stagecoach bandit. Every time Tarp's gone against a bank, he's made a bloody mess of things. You don't believe me, do you?
It isn't too logical, Mrs. Parker.
I told Clem you wouldn't. But you must try to believe me. Tarp's gonna rob one of your banks. Maybe tomorrow.
Which one, the Union or the Kansas State? We only got two.
I don't know, but I'll find out.
And then you'll tell me?
I'll try. I'll let you know tonight sometime.
Mrs. Parker, why would you tell me?
Because Clem's quitting the business. We're going to California as soon as he's well enough. Please try and think of it our way. We'll never have a chance to make a decent life for ourselves with Tarp-Anders robbing banks and Colony's crowd the Parker gang. Well, isn't that logical? What would we have to gain by lying to you?
Mrs. Parker, I don't know.
I'm not Mrs. Parker. Not yet. My name's Bonnie Dawson. Now, isn't that proof I'm being honest with you?
Well, maybe you are. But it just so happens that I'm Marshall of Wichita.
Yes, and we've been bank robbers.
Well, let's leave it this way. You find out what you can about Mr. Anders and meet me at Dr. Breek's office tonight.
Around 10 o'clock?
That'd be fine.
You still don't believe me, do you? But you better make up your mind to. Because not believing me could cost you a few lives. Maybe your own.
All this chin music is just a lot of gab, Tarp. You know, the truth is you're scared to take that bank. You're afraid of Wyatt Earp.
That ain't the hitch, Dan.
Well, what is the hitch, then?
It's Clem and Bonnie Parker.
Oh, Clem's laid up with a bad leg. And what can Bonnie do?
She can handle a gun, and so can Clem if he takes a notion to spoil the party. What do you boys think? You think it's smart?
Yeah, let's get...
I'm not gonna hurt you, and Clem's back in Wichita. We changed our minds, Tarp. We want in on the bank job.
What bank job?
Don't play dummy with me. You were in town this morning. You cased the Union Bank. Clem was real sore when he heard about it. Then we got to thinking. You come into town by yourselves and you'll get hurt. Use Clem's plan and you'll get rich. How about it, Tarp?
Clem knows how to really take a bank. I say we deal.
Okay, Bonnie. You've got something to offer, you're in.
Clem drew a diagram. Wrote it all down.
Oh. There's the Kansas Bank. Union Bank.
And that's the setup. Almost the same plan the Parkers used to take the bank at Mexico, Missouri. It's what Clem calls the covey of quail idea. You drift into town one by one just before daylight. Then you bunch up at 9 o'clock when the bank opens. You grab the money and then scatter in these 6 different directions. Understand?
Yeah, but why do we hit the Union Bank?
Because Earp knows you cased it. He figures you'll take the other bank, the Kansas State.
She's right, Tarp. No John Law would expect us to go against the Union Bank.
He'll be watching the other bank.
Yeah, outsmarting himself. Okay, Bonnie. We'll hit the Union Bank at 5 after 9 in the morning.
I'll meet you here about noon for our share of the haul. Now study that. Any bank job plan that Clem Parker draws is worth 5,000 cash before the vault doors are open.
So, Earp will be watching the Kansas State. Clear around the corner from our mark. Are you still as good with a rifle as you brag?
Well, money says I can outshoot any of you.
And I'll make just one change in Clem's plans. We'll put a crack shot right on the roof of this building here. He'll take care of Wyatt Earp before we hit the Union Bank. You think you can do that?
I reckon so, Tarp. You want me to wing him, or,
Aim here.
Well, the logic is against it. I mean, logically speaking, she and Clem are the brains behind the whole thing, and I'd just be an idiot to trust her, wouldn't I?
Wouldn't you what?
That Bonnie woman can't be telling us the truth.
She might. Then again, she mightn't. If you want my advice, I'd do what the cross-eyed tomcat did.
What's that?
Watch both rat holes. Divide your men between the Kansas State and the Union.
Well, that
Must be here now.
Am I very late?
No.
Hello, Dr. Fabrique.
Howdy.
Please sit down.
No, thanks. I went over the whole plan with Tarp Anders. He's going to hit the Union Bank at 5 after 9 in the morning.
The Union? Why would he do that? He knows that I know he cased the Union Bank.
So he figures you think it'll be the Kansas State.
Well,
I had a tough ride to get this information. If you don't believe me, just say so.
look, I'm sorry.
I've done all I can for you, Mr. Earp. You're stupid. Go ahead, let Tarp make a fool of you. Good night.
Hold on. Put this on your husband's leg. Keep the bandage moist with it.
All right, Doc. Thanks.
You ain't stupid, but you're sure stubborn.
Oh?
I think she's telling the truth.
Well, she can't be, Doc. I checked both banks this morning, and the Kansas State Bank has got twice as much cash on hand as the Union Bank, almost 30,000. Clem Parker isn't going to go for 15 when he can try for 30.
You can watch both rat holes, can't you?
No, I can't. Only got 6 deputies, and if I divide them, it'll give Anders too much of an edge. You just worry about doctoring and let me handle the bank robbers. It's going to be the Kansas State Bank.
Clem, are you all right?
Oh, funny. Certainly took long enough.
How does your leg feel, honey?
Hurts a little. Doc Fabrique came by. Scraped the bone or something. Gave me some laudanum. How'd you make out?
Fine with Tarp. He's going to take the Union. Earp won't believe me. He'll be watching the other bank.
That won't do any good, Bonnie. Anders will make a clean getaway.
Well, what can we do about it? I thought I liked Earp. He thinks I'm a no-good and a liar. I don't care what happens to him.
I do.
Why?
Doc Fabrique. He and Earp are close pals. I owe Doc plenty. He says he's going to pull me through this.
Clem, there was never any doubt.
Yeah.
I needed a surgeon to clean the bone and get the medicine down to where it'd work. Otherwise... Here, take this paper and pencil and draw me a layout of those 2 banks. Maybe we can save that idiot in spite of himself.
Take the corner, Jack. Mike! Mike, there might be a little trouble here at the Kansas State Bank, so stay indoors. And if you got any customers, tell them to do the same. Pass the word, will you? Now remember, Mr. Gale, let them have all the money. Don't try and stop them. We'll get them as they come out. Is your safe open?
Yes, but don't you think I'd better close it? Maybe they'll be satisfied with the teller's money.
No, they'll just make you open it. Let's work it the way we planned it, huh?
Well, all right.
Everything's working out fine. Earp's around the corner.
Why don't we get at it?
Not until Jonesy gets Earp. It's almost time now. Come on.
Look out, Earp! Stop being a fool. Get around the corner. They're taking the Union Bank.
It's too late to worry about him. Return the money, Jack.
Mrs. Parker? Don't you want to take that gun of yours and beat some sense into my fool head?
No, Mr. Earp. I'm just thankful it turned out as it did. Who's that, Top Andrews?
Yeah.
Who got him? You?
No. I think it was your husband.
No. Dr. Fabrique gave strict orders he wasn't to get out of bed.
Well, now he can stay in bed and get well. You tell him for me I'll be dropping by to speak my thanks to both of you.
We'd like that.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt